YouTube, what's going on today, man? Listen, in today's upload, we're talking about moistcritical. All right, apparently he's taking a little break from his content creation.
So I definitely think I'll be slowing down on covering internet-related drama or like drama in general. I'll still talk about like really wacky stories and shit like that, but I definitely think I'm gonna be pumping the brakes on like the kind of drama I have been covering recently.
Now, this all comes after he had his debate with Sneeko. After him and I exchanged some words on Twitter, he gave some additional thoughts, as did I, and there's a good video to break it down. That's what this is going to be. If you like the video, don't forget to like the video, man. And as always, especially on uploads like this, we want your feedback down below. Drop a comment. We go through the majority of them. It's been a little bit crazy lately, but we're hanging in there. Enjoy the video. See you tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Peace and love, baby. Yeah, we got another spicy one here for you today, man. Look, a lot of you guys are probably like, Nick, what happened to gaming? Dude, I mean, I'm just like taking a break. Gaming's kind of boring right now. We'll vibe out when it's time. It's an election year, man. You guys knew this was coming. Don't act like you didn't. Ciao, Jamari. I like this guy a lot, man. He made a video talking about critical.
Charlie is apparently going to be stepping away from his podcast. Show update. Goodbye, Charlie. Hey everyone, effective immediately, Charlie has made the decision to leave both the official podcast and Red Thread. He wants to go on an indefinite hiatus to scale back his time spent on the internet. We obviously wish him the best, for everyone to respect his decision, and for all to know that the show will always be open for him to drop by and talk shop should he wish to return. So yeah, it seems like Charlie might not be in the best place right now. And I do completely understand if he wants to spend less time on the internet. This job in general can be very taxing from a mental standpoint.
For sure.
And I can recognize how hard it can be to step away from something that is so lucrative for you, that has just become part of your life. But it can also be very toxic when you start talking about more controversial topics.
Everybody needs breaks, man.
You read in the comments every day. There's people that disagree with you. There's people that hate you for your opinions. And maybe if he was already feeling kind of burnt out this...
By the way, Jamari not a big fan, but I guess perhaps he has some good opinions.
Might have just been like the straw that broke the camel's back. And despite him dropping what I think is like pretty horrendous take, obviously I wish the best for him, and hopefully he's gonna be doing all right. But y'all let me know what you guys think about this situation down below.
I think he's a brick, but
to see someone who always seems, you know, so composed to be a little bit shaken in this way, especially by a person that a lot of people don't take very seriously. Sneeko was in his red pill era and posting relentlessly about Charlie, as well as a couple of other YouTubers and streamers he had made this infamous collage of.
The soy boy tier list.
Best commentary award is a dude who doesn't believe in anything, who games for 13 hours straight and so guys, I farted in a diarrhea and this happened.
I'm not gonna
Yo,
say
Loki,
names.
he's got his voice kind of down.
Monogamous relationship. This is his girl.
He posted about Charlie to the point where he eventually had to reply with this tweet: "You pathetic, sensitive, soy little worm. I made fun of you for watching your girlfriend get f***ed by numerous other men, and also insulted you for defending. That's not cancellation. That's just spitting on you for being a pitiful, sad." Out of this, we would then get the clip of Sneaky dancing around, brandishing a pistol in his hands, threatening Charlie, saying that he could get these clips.
You wanna watch my clips? Watch my clips. Watch my clips.
This, of course, would give us the most glorious moment in the beef, the Mags comments.
I remember this.
But he's a fucking imbecile, you absolute buffoon. What you have there is not clips. These are mags. They're mags, not clips. The same way that this is also a mag.
And then we would later get this debate. Overall, in the eyes of most, Charlie would decimate
that is pretty hard, I'm not gonna
and
lie.
make him look very immature. And I would say the majority of viewers thought at this point that he had won the war. Well, Sneeko has again been trashing Charlie like no other, especially over the recent situation with Mr. Beast and his creeper Chris. Sneeko's stance was that Charlie is a coward for not immediately speaking up about this situation, saying that he is a hypocrite for talking about Dr. Disrespect, but not discussing Chris.
Yo, look out, moistcritical is not going to go talk about the Chris situation because he wants to have the Mr. Beast collab.
Like the majority of...
He did talk about it, but I think he was a little late. Yeah, even though I don't know, man. Maybe it wasn't that late. He did post a video though, yes. So.
Respond to this on Twitter, and even spend several minutes in his video about the Chris situation, addressing Sneeko's claim that he was ducking this topic.
When the doc stuff came out, everybody was so quick to hop on that, like instantaneous, everybody.
Absolutely.
And then when this stuff all came out, everybody was reluctant. You can look at the way everybody behaved and compare the two scenarios, man, and it's kind of like, it's
Especially,
weird.
I think Pokimane and another popular streamer, I don't the name's Valkyrie. Exactly. I think both of them posted the same tweet at the same time, saying that they didn't know really about what's really happening, but they condone I don't know whatever it was, texting minors or whatever Chris Tyson did.
Weird, man. It's totally weird.
I was always going to make a full breakdown of this because it's bad. It's a horrible situation. So yes, you're right. I do talk about like big trending bad shit like Dr. Disrespect or like Cody Ko most recently. I don't know why people thought I wouldn't talk about this. So I've never been someone to shy away from a bad situation like this just because I know or am familiar with the person that it's about. He has no problem abandoning his morals and defending blatant brushing it under the rug as long as it means it keeps the Mr. Beast collab alive. For you to make insinuations like that and even claims like that is f***ing unhinged, considering you make actual defense arguments constantly.
Well, once again, after this back and forth, the two would have another debate, and this time people were a lot more conflicted about who actually won, as both of them made some very strange comments
Nobody
throughout
was
this
conflicted.
conversation. Now,
Sneeko
just to be completely transparent
bodied
with
this
you
dude.
guys, the full debate here was around 90 minutes long, and no, I did not watch the entire thing. I just feel like at this point my brain is already rotted enough, and I didn't want to put it through that type of stress. But if these two comments that these guys did enough, and I watched the entire thing, I just feel like at this point my brain is already rotted enough, and I didn't want to put it through that type of stress.
I did watch the debate, and Sneeko definitely won.
But if these two comments that these guys made are any indication of how this debate went...
And by the way, just before anybody comes in the comments like, yo, Nick, how come you didn't talk about how Sneeko says if someone's 16, they can get married or have sex? I mean, look, he can say that he believes that or whatever, okay? But him and I had a conversation. I told him that I think it should be 18, and 18 is a good common ground. That's kind of what, we've established over here in America. But, bro, then I Googled it, and half the states say 16. It's so weird. But I don't care about states. I don't care about countries. I don't care about books. I don't care about what everybody's doing. In my heart of hearts, I believe that 18 is a good common ground between the maturity in the mind, maturity in the body, okay? That's where I'm at, all right? And I don't agree with Sneeko if he says it's 16 or 15, wherever it might be. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's weird. I think 18's a good. That's a good common ground for me.
And overall, yeah, I just don't think my brain could have taken it. So first, let's talk about what Sneeko had to say. As you guys know, he's been riding the anti-age of consent wave for quite some time now.
It's just because we have a different idea of what it means to be a child, which can be tracked historically. The general principle in Islam is, you can do what you kind of want, so long as, I'm not going to say you can do what you want so long as you harm it. You can marry whomever you want to marry, so long as it doesn't cause them harm, physical and psychological. And once again, is very relative.
And so Charlie kind of questioned him about his beliefs here, asking him if a 21-year-old should be able to marry a 15-year-old. And you'll never believe what he asked.
It's an uncomfortable conversation because here in the States and in the world as well, there's so many different views on this and rules. In the States alone, we have like 3 different ages across all the states, and every state is almost different. It's crazy. It really just comes down to how you feel and how you perceive this entire conversation.
I'm talking about your personal beliefs. Do you think someone in their 20s should be able to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
No.
So should someone who's about to graduate college be able to marry someone who's just entering high school? Like last year, they were running around on that middle school playground.
I personally wouldn't do it. I don't know many people who would do it. The maturity for people and the teenagers in the West is getting much worse, but there are...
We're talking globally. Let's just talk globally. Like, do you think it is okay for... I'm not talking about just you specifically anymore. Anyone. Do you think it's okay for anyone in their 20s, an adult, to marry a 15 or 16-year-old?
A 21-year-old, if there was a marriage where the father consented and the daughter consented, and it was both good on both families and they wanted to do it, why am I going to get involved? Why should we get the government involved?
Well, at that point, that's almost like arguing, well, why should we have any laws at all? I mean, don't get me wrong, right. I'm not a big fan of the government overreaching into people's personal lives and their personal...
I think you made the argument a little bit wrong, Sneeko. Because obviously the government has to get involved at some point. Let's say the argument 21 and 15 or 16 is wrong or lawfully wrong. Obviously then the government would have to get involved. So yeah, he made the argument a little bit wrong. But I think throughout the debate he yeah, explain it a little bit better. Yeah.
decisions. But as a society, we have to have some sort of structure of what's right and wrong. And I would
And I agree with this guy, but we don't. We really don't. I mean, like here in America, there's 3 different ages. I mean, like imagine that. You physically go 3 feet to the left, and it's a whole age, it's a whole year less. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense, you know. But I mean, again, I believe in my heart that 18 is a good common ground.
think that most people with a rational brain
And I
can
don't think the
understand
majority
why
of the people
a
agree with me, by the
15-year-old
way.
is not mentally equipped to handle the decision of getting married to someone in their 20s.
Why would I tell them if everybody's consenting, if everybody's okay with it, if the parents are okay with it, if nobody's being harmed, if it's going to be okay, if they're both abiding by the rules and they're not hurting each other, why not?
Because, like I said, the 15-year-old just does not have the mental capacity to truly understand what they're doing, and so really they cannot consent to the marriage. And I believe that is kind of Charlie's point that he tries to make against Nico here, which I think is the right line of thinking. The only problem is
Me too.
Nico uses the classic debate tactic of using Charlie's own logic against him, when Charlie would try to make an even possibly more mind-boggling point about a child's ability to choose to transition. But we'll get back to that in a second. I did first want to talk about some of the other comments that Sneeko has made regarding the age of consent.
Like, why does that define the age of consent? I had a debate about this, and I said the age of consent is maturity, is the age of puberty, once the body is mature. Because, bro, I know some people, I went through puberty when I was like 17.
Saying that the age of consent should be when somebody goes through puberty is just insane. Like, I don't know if these type of comments come from a creepy place, or it's just an effect of constantly having to play the devil's advocate over and over again, while also trying to have the most shocking opinion possible.
That's why the age of consent being strictly, exactly, on this second, 18, this defines maturity, and everyone has to pretend like, yes, that defines maturity. This is the correct age, not 1 second more, not 1 second less, and if anything contradicts it, you're disgusting!
I mean, to me, it's just such a weird hill to choose to die on over and over again. I mean, by his logic, if a girl goes through puberty at the age of 12, which
You gotta have an
I
age,
believe
man.
many of them do, well, she's then prepared
have
to
to have
marry,
an
you know,
age.
some 25-year-old man. She's
There needs
mentally
to be a
equipped do
line.
so. I mean, by his very same logic, he should have absolutely no problem with what Chris from Mr. Beast just did. As a matter of fact, in his book, Chris could have went out and married that kid that he was
Coming for America.
talking to through Discord, and he should really have no problem with it, right? As long as the kids start going through puberty.
But to this point here, wait. I think this one. I do think the reason why Sneeko is saying this, obviously, I'm Muslim, he's also Muslim. In our faith and tradition, the thing you usually do is get married. So that's why the argument that there needs to be an age in this society does make sense, but usually I don't think it's necessary. I mean, there are some parts in the world, I think Iraq, as far as I remember, there are some parts where they're people don't even know their actual age. They don't know when they were born. They don't know how old they are. They actually just look. Let's say a boy who then grows up, goes through puberty. If they see that that guy is mentally and physically ready, then he can get married. And he might be 14 years old, or he might be 24 years old. Yeah, so that's the kind of argument he's trying to make, that the age is a little because let's say the boy does get through puberty at an earlier age, let's say 16. Obviously, he's going to have urges and so on, and perhaps he wants to get married. Traditionally, obviously, in this society, we don't necessarily get married right away. Normally, you get, I don't know, you go into dates, and then you're like girlfriend, boyfriend. So, yeah. If you want to get married, then the argument of Sneeko would make sense that the age is kind of weird, because you have these urges, you want to get married perhaps, so you can have a family and so on. But no, you have to wait until you are 18. But I mean, you can get married if you're 16 with another 16-year-old. I don't think that's wrong. And I also understand why it's kind of weird if you're, let's say, 25 and you want to get married to a 16-year-old. It does sound weird. Yeah.
This is the correct age, not 1 second more, not 1 second less. And if anything contradicts it, you're disgusting.
I mean, to me, it's just such a weird hill to choose to die on over and over again. I mean, by his logic, if a girl goes through puberty at the age of 12, which
You gotta have an
I
age,
believe
man.
many of them do, well, she's then prepared
have
to
to have
marry,
an
you know,
age.
some 25-year-old man. She's
There needs
mentally
to be a
equipped to do
line.
so. I mean, by his very same logic, he should have absolutely no problem with what Chris from Mr. Beast just did. As a matter of fact, in his book, Chris could have went out and married that kid that he was talking to through Discord, and he should really have no problem with it, right? As long as the kid started going through puberty.
And the moistcritical is like, Sneeko, you say that the age of consent is, what do you think it is? I don't know. What do you think it is? Tell me. You think it's 18? It's only 18 in something like 10 states. The rest of it's 17, 16. Around the world, it's 16. A lot of places, 14, 15. So what do you think it is? Is everybody in the world... Japan, they just changed it from 13 to 16. Were they before then? What's the consistency?
To me, the blanket age of consent all over the world should probably be 18. Like, at least in this country, that's when you start getting more personal freedoms. That's the age where if you f*** up, the government no longer sees you as a child, and they're gonna punish you as an adult. And at that point, you're really just free to make your own decisions and live with the repercussions of your actions. I don't know, to me, it just does not have to get a lot deeper than that. And here is
Agreed.
where Charlie actually falls right into Sneeko's trap.
Agreed, but at the same time, these are conversations that need and should happen because even here in the States, there's literally only 10 states that have it at 18. Florida, California.
True.
And then like some weird ones, you know, but the majority of them are 16. So I get what this guy's saying, but I mean, there's zero consistency to that number.
Crap.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting. And you agree with it.
Okay.
Just look at the glee on Sneeko's face as he realizes that he fell for his trap card.
Hormone therapy, can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting. And you agree with it.
And obviously,
I mean,
guys, what's the
a good
point that's
one.
about to be made? Sneeko's pretty much going to say, well, Charlie, so a kid cannot
This guy doesn't like Sneeko very much, does he?
consent to marrying an adult, but they can't consent to making a life-altering decision.
Okay. So as long as
If
everyone...
your parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a family decision to make. Yeah.
God,
Okay,
this guy
So they're
Moist
literally
Critical's a
making the
fucking
exact
brick,
same
man.
stupid arguments about two different, very, I guess,
Right, yeah.
controversial topics.
So, a child
they really
can
are.
cut their off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
So that's a decision that now extends beyond the family because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
Yeah, but neither thing should happen under any circumstance. I mean, listen, guys, I'm all for transitioning once you are an adult. Using your own money, okay? I don't think taxpayers should pay for that type of surgery. But if you want to go and do whatever you want to your own body, well, I'm really all for it. Because at the end of the...
I don't know why so many people are all for it. You know? What part of what they're doing to their body is healthy in any way? Right? I mean, in any way.
Indeed. Very
Why don't
true.
we get them real help? Like actually try to figure out a way to really help these people instead of enabling this craziness. I mean, I respect this guy, and a lot of people will side with him and will say, nah, you live and let people live, sure. But like at some point, we have to address the craziness in the room. You know, how do we really help these people? Because just turning our heads and allowing this type of behavior, allowing this type of precedent to be set, is the reason that we're in this room today. I mean, how about we
Indeed.
actually care,
Sure.
like genuinely, and try to help them, you know?
I think that's a good point. A lot of these, especially younger guys or girls or just kids, if they have problems and I mean probably through the internet world, they think they need to transition because whatever is wrong with them, I think it's probably most of the time it's not even that really the case that they think they're another gender or whatever. It's probably mostly just complications at home, maybe not. I don't know. The environment is just weird, around them. I think it's mostly these kind of things. And then once you grow up, you have a healthier environment, and you have a better grasp of life. I think then most of them would not want to transition anymore. Yeah.
How about that? Because what we're doing right now doesn't help anybody.
Today I am for adults having their own personal freedoms. But should a child be able to make that type of life-altering decision? Absolutely not. Should their parents be able to make that type of life-altering decision for their kid? To me, no. Like, if I take a baby to a tattoo parlor and say, hey, I consent, put a tattoo right across their forehead that says idiot.
I love the examples that people come up with.
To allow you to do that.
It's always like tattoos or strip clubs or some crazy
She's beautiful. She's 21 years old. Her family wants to do it. My family wants to do it. You're saying, I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature. But I'm not allowed to marry because Moy says that woman's a... But if then, the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
It is. I believe everyone has complete... Yep, I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want to do.
Okay.
It's just so bad. I gotta say, this is the biggest L I've probably ever seen Charlie take, and he kind of just walked right into it. I mean, like I said, once someone starts using your own logic against you, the debate is pretty much over. I had actually recorded that video yesterday, and as I was editing it right now, we actually did get some updates on the situation that include Charlie apparently walking his comments back.
And now I give a perspective on something that immediately gets misconstrued, and I do recognize a lot of it's my fault. I assumed that Sneeko was talking in hyperbole about a 9-year-old getting their cut off, because I didn't have the assumption that anyone thought that is how transitioning works. Under no circumstances, any legality behind a kid saying, I want to change genders, and then immediately going in and getting their cut off. That doesn't happen.
It does
I thought he was just talking in hyperbole.
No,
I mean, I think he was kind of just trying to discuss the idea of a child transitioning in general and if that's okay.
I thought he was talking about the overall point of a child transitioning.
Kids don't walk into the ER room and get their dick cut off, but kids are put on pills and HRT that chemically change them for the rest of their lives. What does he think happens?
Go back a little bit.
I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready.
Yesterday, and as I was editing it right now, we actually did get some...
Now I give a perspective on something that immediately gets misconstrued, and I do recognize a lot of it's my fault. I assumed that Sneeko was talking in hyperbole about a 9-year-old getting their cut off, because I didn't have the assumption that anyone thought that is how transitioning works. Under no circumstances, any legality behind a kid saying, I want to change genders, and then immediately going in and getting their cut off. That doesn't happen.
It does
I thought he was just talking in hyperbole.
No,
I mean, I think he was kind of just trying to discuss the idea of a child transitioning in general and if that's okay.
I thought he was talking about the overall point of a child transitioning.
Kids don't walk into the ER room and get their dick cut off, but kids are put on pills and HRT that chemically change them for the rest of their lives. What does he think happens as they take these?
Which is years-long process. And you can't even get that fucking surgery legally until you are 18.
Yeah, but you can definitely start transitioning and taking these various hormones before you turn 18 years old, especially in some states.
And I guess I should have assumed that he was being literal, and that's on me.
I think it's
there's no winning on anything.
That's cap. I don't think he... I mean, he probably thought that it's not going to be a snip off right away, but, you know, the transition process... I don't know if you can start that at 9 years old. Anyways, let's check. Transition age USA. No. That's from 2017. No, diagnosis. Diagnosis does not mean they actually did it. Initiating 1,390 between 6 and 17. Okay, that's crazy. That's a crazy number. Hormone therapy, yes. 4,230 between 6 and 17. How is this even legal?
Sneeko gets away with saying 12 to 15-year-olds can marry adults. I don't think...
Trying to stream Anna Smith, but today's day 2.
His chat.
He doesn't even
anything
think
like
that.
The YouTube
He
chat
thinks
here.
it should be
He
18.
literally multiple
okay.
times
Wait, why am I
reaffirms that he
writing in
believes
chat? Just
12 to
listen to the stream.
15-year-olds can legally, morally, and should marry adults. And there is no problems for him. But I said that I think it's okay.
And on the off chance that you guys want to go crazy and tell me that he does, I don't agree with that at all. I think that's fucking crazy. But I want you guys to know that in the world we live in, that's like a popular view. Maybe not 12 to 15, but at 16.
nickmercs does look like what's his name, Mother's Milk from what's from The Boys. I'm just saying. The Boys, Mother's Milk. Just saying. Yep. He does. The way he's talking. Wait. Let's see.
Like a popular view. Maybe not 12 to 15,
Maybe not 12 to 15. Yep. That's Mother's
but
Milk.
at 16,
Yes, sir.
at 17. Not for me. Not for this house. Not for my family. Okay? But it is in the world that we're living in. Believe me, I get it. I agree with you. It's crazy.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
for a child to transition, to learn about it. It's a process. You don't just go in and immediately get your cut off. That's not how it works.
I mean, I wouldn't say that he's even necessarily walking anything back there. I also think that the argument he makes about, like, oh, everyone's acting like what Sneeko said
I
is
don't even
okay.
think people thought that it's like snipping off the dick right away. I think they probably understood what I mean, the transition's gonna take years, so I think most people knew what he was trying to say.
It's just kind of minute, like it's not really relevant, because I have seen Sneeko obviously catching a lot of backlash over this age of consent thing for quite some time. And it's pretty obvious at this point that he's kind of cultivated...
You had a great potential. By the way, don't you consider using artwork on your stream? What artwork? I don't know. Tell me what artwork, if you were listening.
The type of audience that's going to ride with whatever the he thinks. So I'm not surprised that they're not like giving him backlash over those comments. That's what he has been preaching for quite a long time.
Well, good video. Bros on side missions. Doritos tier list. He's still there. Oh man. Well, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about this video, and if you have a different opinion or anything like that. Sir, peace.